to be here. Jazakumullah khairan to the organizers of this beautiful masjid. May Allah put barakah in it, and all the youth and everyone who comes and attends the durus here and the salawat here. May Allah bless you all. So the topic that I've been asked to speak about is the topic of LGBT. And this is a topic that is very clear-cut in Islam. And what people claim is that this is, a difficult topic, this is a confusing topic, we have to clarify what Islam says. This is not true. The topic of LGBT is very clear-cut in Islam, and there's no, confusion about this. Actually, this is one of the issues that are considered to be ma'lum min ad-din bil-darura, meaning necessarily known of the religion. It's so clear that someone knows Islam, they know that Islam is against this. Someone knows that Islam considers this evil, considers this fahisha, considers this to be a perverse action, lifestyle, identity, behavior. This is very clear. Every Muslim knows this. And when something is ma'lum min ad-din bil-darura, means that if you have doubts about this, then there's a problem with your iman. That you may not be Muslim. You have to check, are you actually Muslim? Because you're confused about this. It's like if someone says, well, are there really prayers, daily prayers in Islam? If you don't know that there are daily prayers in Islam, then are you really Muslim? Or if you don't know that there is fasting in Ramadan, are you really Muslim? If you don't know that the Quran is the book of Allah, then are you really Muslim? Because these are the things that are necessarily known of the religion. Ma'lum min ad-din bil-darura. When it comes to this action, this lifestyle, this behavior, this is known that it's evil. Islam completely rejects it and condemns it and denounces it. This is all it is. This is LGBT. Finished. This is the topic. There's nothing more that we need to say about this. But people want to confuse it and say, this is such a difficult issue and we have to navigate our differences and figure out what is really... No. There's no navigating nothing. There's no differences. Differences means ikhtilaf or ikhtilafat, like differences that you have. There's no ikhtilaf on this topic. There's no ikhtilaf. And even, there's no ikhtilaf on this. Ikhtilaf means difference of opinion or difference of view. There's no ikhtilaf even amongst the nations, even amongst the religions. No religion has accepted this. No religion has accepted this. How could they? How could they accept something like this? Look at Christianity. They reject the story in the Bible as Sodom and Gomorrah. And they share this view that this is such an action and behavior that when people engage in it openly and shamelessly, then the adab, the punishment of Allah comes. They have it in their book. They have it in the Bible. They have it in the Hebrew Bible. They have it in the Old Testament according to Christians. This is known. Every religion has rejected this. Every religion has rejected this. So there's no ikhtilafat, even amongst the rest of humanity. So we can't be confused, and we have to have a very clear moral stance. What is our moral stance on this issue? Again, the confusion is added by people who, for whatever reason, are politically compromised, or they're involved with LGBT groups, or they're involved with left-wing politicians. They want to confuse. All you need to know about LGBT is that it's haram. That, this action, this behavior, this sexual behavior is haram. That's all you need to know about it. Is that really what we know about this issue? Is that the end of it? No. That's just the beginning of it. That's one point of fiqh. That, okay, something is haram, or it's halal, or it's mustahab, or it's wajib, like the different ahkam that it would take in the sharia. Okay, this one action is haram, or changing your gender is haram, or being bisexual is haram. Okay, that's good, that's the fiqh. But that's just the beginning. The full morality of Islam on this issue is that this is a corruption of human nature. This is a corruption of the fitrah. Because when it comes to other types of behaviors, like different other types of sexual behaviors like zina, that's something that is the attraction to the opposite sex. That's natural. It's a shahwa that has to be resisted. You control your gaze, you control where you go, who you talk to, and what you do with people. But it's a natural attraction. But this attraction to the same sex, this is a corruption of the natural state, the natural human fitrah, the creation of human beings. This is going contrary to that. The noun israf. What does israf mean? Israf means to go to transgress into excess. You have been given something, but it's not enough. You want more. You want to go beyond the bounds. So this is an action of ingratitude. So what does this mean? It means that Allah has given us halal options. He has given us marriage. He's given us nikah with the opposite sex, a halal outlet. But you're not satisfied with that. You want more. You want to taste more and do more and experience more. Your lust, the shahwa, is so extreme that it's never enough. Whatever you are given, you want more and more and more and more and more. This is what israf is. It can be not only with these types of behaviors in the bedroom, it can also be with food. You know, Allah has made many things halal that we can eat and we can drink. Many things are halal. But someone who has israf, it's not enough. I want to taste the haram things too. I want to taste the haram things. I have the right. I deserve. Who's telling me no? Who's drawing this line? I don't accept this line of between haram and halal. I don't accept that. No one has the right to tell me where to stop. I decide where to stop. And it's not enough with the halal. I have to go to the haram. In many areas of life. So this is a disease of the heart. It's a corruption. And the worst manifestation of it is in sexual matters. They go beyond. And this is something that is so miraculous. This is one of the proofs of that the Quran is from Allah. That even the non-Muslim, they can see this and they can know that the Quran is from Allah. Why? Just this term musrifun. Because were there people like this in the time of the Prophet ﷺ? Was this like a big thing, like happening in the time in Mecca or Medina? Was this a huge issue? No. It was not. There's no evidence that it was. There's no evidence in our tradition, obviously. In hadith, and seerah, and tafsir, hadith, there's no evidence of that this is a widespread issue that the Quran is dedicating. How many ayat in the Quran are dedicated to this issue? Is it 5 ayat? Is it 10 ayat? 20 ayat? 80! 80 ayat are dedicated to the Lut alayhi salam and his people, and what happened to his people. That's many ayat dedicated to this topic. But this is, other issues were widespread at that time. Shirk, bearing daughters, injustice towards orphans, injustice towards travelers. These are all types of injustices and problems that were common in the time of the Prophet ﷺ in Mecca with the Quraysh, with the Mushrikeen, etc. But this type of homosexual behavior was not common. So then how, if this book was written by a man from that time, why are they describing it as israf? Are they observing many people who are engaged in this? To know that this is the character, this is like the deep psychological disease that the Quran has identified of israf. And you look at modern day Qawm Lut, around us when we go, we just started Pride Month. They're so proud of this disease. Look at their attitude. Look at their attitude. One of the big debates amongst these people is, well, you know, shouldn't we be allowed to just have sex in the street, in our parade? Shouldn't we be able to? We're proud. Who's telling us no? Shouldn't we be able to just be naked and do whatever we want in the street? That's part of our pride. We need to be able to do it. We don't agree with these conservative gays. These conservative gays that, no, we shouldn't, you know, engage in this type of behavior. Might alienate people. We might alienate the public, and the public will be against us. That's one group. They're the more conservative, pragmatic. You know, we have to be careful about the optics. And then there's the more liberal side that says, no, we need to be naked. We need to be doing all of these behaviors in the street. We're proud. This is what it means to be proud of it. So even, you know, whatever line is drawn by even this society, whatever taboo there is, they want to break the taboo. They want to cross the line. No one tells us not to do this. There was a big controversy, again, within their community, even though, why should we call it a community? I'll talk about that in a second. But even within their culture or their subculture, whatever you want to call it, another big debate, the HIV debate. The HIV debate. Should we use protection? And I'm sorry to be explicit about this, but this is an explicit topic. And we have to talk about the reality of these people. Should we use protection to stop the spread of HIV? The doctors are telling us that this is a big problem for the gay community. There's a large amount of transmission of HIV/AIDS within the gay community. Should we start implementing, prophylactic protection when we go to the club and we do this with each other? The big debate. A large group said, absolutely not. I'm not going to restrict my sexuality. I can do whatever I want. Who's to tell me to put something on and protect myself? No, this is part of it. This is part of our lifestyle. So this is what people are not told. This is what the public has not been told. Why? Because if people knew the reality of this behavior, this psychology, they would reject it. Everyone, not just Muslims. They would reject it. They're trying to teach this in schools. They're trying to make this acceptable in public schools. They're introducing it to all grade levels. You can't go to a public school without the rainbow flag flying right there in every classroom, or at least in the hallways. What public school can you go to without the rainbow flag? So they want even children to accept this. But what is this? Is it really a rainbow? One of the most beautiful creation of Allah that they have corrupted as a symbol of this fahisha? What is this? This is the homosexual lifestyle. All protection is from Allah. May Allah protect all of us. May Allah protect all of our children from this fitna. But we know where this story leads. We know the ending of this story. We have the Quran that if we had any doubt about it, we have the Quran. But all the signs are there. We see society breaking down. When you can't even define what is a woman and what is a man, you can't define it, something that even a 2-year-old can define, then that shows you how the concepts, the morality is breaking down, is being destroyed piece by piece. When you break down the meaning of words, that's the first step to destroying the underlying reality. That's what's happening. Society is breaking down. Look at the levels of crime. Look at the levels of violence. Look at the levels of mental disease and disorder. How many people are on antidepressants? How many people are on this kind of narcotic drugs to help them with psychological problems? The numbers are skyrocketing. The numbers are skyrocketing, especially amongst youth. So many people are taking antidepressants to manage depression, anxiety. What is the cause of this depression? What is the cause of this anxiety? It's a society that's going mad. It's a world that's going mad. That's why these drugs are needed. Marriages breaking down, families breaking down, crime skyrocketing, violence skyrocketing. I wish I had like an optimistic forecast for you, but I don't. I really don't. So, what is required of us? What's required of us is that we have to establish the hujjah. We have to establish that we condemn this evil in no uncertain terms. We are not ambiguous. We are not going to engage in doublespeak. We say very clearly, this is evil, and we condemn it. We have no acceptance of this at all, and society is going to be destroyed. The adab, the punishment of Allah is going to come for those who continue engaging in this, and for a society that continues to approve of this behavior. How can you be a Muslim and a believer in the Quran and read about Lut alayhi salam and read about what happened to his people, the punishment that came to his people, and what happened to his wife? What happened to the wife of Lut alayhi salam? Did his wife, was she engaged in homosexual behavior? No. But she was destroyed with them. She was destroyed with those people. Why? She wanted to live in harmony with them. She wanted to just be okay with them. And that's why, and this is what the Mufassirun say about why the wife of Lut alayhi salam was punished. She wasn't engaged in homosexual behavior, but she wasn't opposed to it. So guess what? If we don't have a clear-cut stance, if we don't establish this inkar, this condemnation, then we're going to be punished along with them. No doubt, it's so clear. The Quran, Allah is making it so easy for us. It doesn't require a genius to understand what these ayat are referring to in the Quran. So we have to have an excuse before Allah. I want to have an excuse before Allah that if the punishment comes from Allah, that I can say to Allah, well, I spread your message. I condemn this behavior. I told people to fear Allah. I told people to fear the punishment. So may Allah accept that as an excuse. Stop talking in this way. Number two, stop going into these pride marches naked and doing this kind of behavior. We have to stop that, because this makes people see us as very weird, very obnoxious, and disgusting. So we have to just pretend, we have to make people think that being gay or being lesbian means that you're just like any other normal person. It's just the same as any other normal person. You just have a different preference. Like some people prefer chocolate ice cream, other people prefer vanilla ice cream. That's the image that we have to portray. We can't let them know about our behaviors, our lifestyle, the true lifestyle, because the true lifestyle is going to the club and having lots of gay sex. And honestly, that's their lifestyle. That's their lifestyle. We have to hide that from the public. We have to make them think, oh, we're just wholesome Americans who, just like everyone else. This was the big lie. This was the big propaganda. And you can read about this. The book that they published even about this strategy, this media strategy, it's called After the Ball. After the Ball by Marshall Kirk and Hunter Madsen. And they lay out very clearly their agenda. Another big part of the agenda. We have to portray ourselves as victims. We are victims of religious people. We are victims of Christians. We just want to love. Love is love. Why don't you let us love each other? This is their message, to portray themselves as victims. And everyone who is against them is a homophobe, is a bigot, is someone who is advocating violence and abuse. This is their framing. Their framing is, we have to understand the framing of these issues if we're going to properly counter them and address them. If you don't address this issue, your children, for example, are going to public schools and they're learning, oh, these victims, all these LGBT victims, and oh, Mama and Baba say that LGBT is wrong, and oh, I'm reading in the Quran that Allah destroyed these people, these poor victims, so that means Allah is unjust. Wa na'udhu billah. That means that my Mama and Baba, they don't understand that, these are just people who want to love, and what's wrong with love? We have to address the framing. We have to get through the propaganda and get to the core, the truth of the matter, which is the reality of their israf and their fahisha. So that's, there's so many examples of how this kind of agenda is being pushed onto society. They claimed originally this victim mentality that, oh, we just want to get married. We just want the right to get married. This is what they claimed at first. And that was granted to them in 2015. Okay, the gay marriage has been legalized in the US. In other European countries, it had been legalized earlier than that. Then they continued to move the goalposts. They said, okay, gay marriage is not enough. What about discrimination? Okay, we want to be protected from any kind of discrimination. And this was the case, one of the famous cases involving this was the Christian baker. There was a Christian. He baked cakes, wedding cakes, in Colorado. Then a gay man and his partner went to this baker and said, we want a cake for our gay wedding. He said, no, I'm a Christian. I'm not going to make a cake for your gay wedding. So they sued him. They said that this is discrimination. And his case went to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court ruled in his favor once. But then he got sued again. He keeps getting sued over and over again by different groups for discrimination. And the pressure is getting so much that now it has been acknowledged by the Supreme Court that you can discriminate on the basis of gender identity and sexual orientation. This is something new. This wasn't always the case. So what do we mean by discrimination? Someone comes and you discriminate on the basis of race. You say, okay, we don't serve blacks. We don't serve Mexicans in our store. This is discrimination. You're discriminating on the basis of race. Or discrimination on the basis of gender. This is, okay, we don't serve women, or we don't serve men, or whatever. This is discrimination on the basis of gender. These are protected classes. They have added sexual orientation to this. They have added gender identity. But is this correct? Is this something that we can accept? Is your orientation the same thing as a race? Is it the same thing as a religious community? Because this is the other thing, that there are liberal Muslims who say that, look, in Islam we respect Christians and Jews. They're part of Ahlul Kitab. There are certain rights that they have that are given to them in the Sharia of Allah. So LGBT, they're a community just like Jews and Christians. What? How? How is this possible? So this is the argument that liberal Muslims are using to bring in LGBT normalization into the Muslim community. But this is not what, so this is the importance of understanding Israf. This is why we have to understand the reality of their behavior and their shahwa. This is not who you are. This is not your identity. This is like someone who says that, oh, I want my wife to have red hair, or I want my wife to have black hair, or I like to marry someone who is, this ethnicity or that ethnicity. Or women saying, oh, I want to marry a husband who is at least 5 foot tall or 6 foot tall or whatever. This is just a preference. This is a preference that you have, like what you're attracted to personally. Is that an identity? Is this something that you can define yourself as? Like, oh, we're a community? We're a community of people who like redheads? Or we're a community who are attracted to people of, Asians or whatever? No, this is not a community. This is a perversion. This is shahwa. This is lust that is going beyond what the limits are. Even the limits that are accepted by the rest of humanity, even those limits, they want to exceed the bounds. Even the limits of medical practice, like medical health, they want to exceed those. Another example of this israf, within their community, they have what are called bug chasers. Do you know what bug chasers are? This is a term that they have. These are people, these are homosexuals, who they desire, they have the lust to be infected with HIV. They want to be infected with sexually transmitted diseases. They seek it out. Like, they get a thrill from this. This is their shahwa. They call them bug chasers. And then they have gift givers. Do you know who gift givers are? HIV positive that are willing to give the gift of HIV to some random guy at the club. This is their fetish. This is their desire, the shahwa, the lust that they have. And why? And they call it, a certain term. They call it, the act, the expletive of death. Because they get a thrill from that. Like people who are thrill seekers, they want to get a thrill, they want to get excitement. They're excited by the prospect of getting HIV. So this tells you, this is the mindset of israf. This is the mindset of israf. How can this be a community? Like, how can this be a respectful, oh, wow, you have a community, let's have a picnic together. And let's, live in harmony and peace. Like, what? These are people who are trying to destroy all human institutions. That's the end result. When you allow this to spread, when you allow israf to spread, that is like a disease, an infectious disease. It's a pandemic. Why? Because when you engage in this type of behavior, I'll tell you a number of ways that it spreads. Number one, it spreads because you are normalizing a type of behavior. And these people are very aggressive. They are not satisfied with just them being engaged in. They want others engaged as well. And we see it in the Quran, where they're attacking the Prophet Lut alayhi salam. They are literally banging on his door, and they want to do their act with his guests. That's how aggressive they are. They're not satisfied that they're doing it. Everyone has to do it and accept it as valid. This is the story of Lut alayhi salam. And then when he rejects them, he says, no, I hate what you're doing. I'm amongst those who hate what you're doing, and I'm disgusted by what you're doing. They say, expel these people. Kick Lut alayhi salam and his people. Throw them out of our city. These are people who want to keep pure. They want to be tahir. They want to be pure and chaste. Expel them. Kick them out. All protection is from Allah. May Allah protect all of us. May Allah protect all of our children from this fitna. But we know where this story leads. We know the ending of this story. We have the Quran that if we had any doubt about it, we have the Quran. But all the signs are there. We see society breaking down. When you can't even define what is a woman and what is a man, you can't define it, something that even a 2-year-old can define, then that shows you how the concepts, the morality is breaking down, is being destroyed piece by piece. When you break down the meaning of words, that's the first step to destroying the underlying reality. That's what's happening. Society is breaking down. Look at the levels of crime. Look at the levels of violence. Look at the levels of mental disease and disorder. How many people are on antidepressants? How many people are on this kind of narcotic drugs to help them with psychological problems? The numbers are skyrocketing. The numbers are skyrocketing, especially amongst youth. So many people are taking antidepressants to manage depression, anxiety. What is the cause of this depression? What is the cause of this anxiety? It's a society that's going mad. It's a world that's going mad. That's why these drugs are needed. Marriages breaking down, families breaking down, crime skyrocketing, violence skyrocketing. I wish I had like an optimistic forecast for you, but I don't. I really don't. So, what is required of us? What's required of us is that we have to establish the hujjah. We have to establish that we condemn this evil in no uncertain terms. We are not ambiguous. We are not going to engage in doublespeak. We say very clearly, this is evil, and we condemn it. We have no acceptance of this at all, and society is going to be destroyed. The adab, the punishment of Allah is going to come for those who continue engaging in this, and for a society that continues to approve of this behavior. How can you be a Muslim and a believer in the Quran and read about Lut alayhi salam and read about what happened to his people, the punishment that came to his people, and what happened to his wife? What happened to the wife of Lut alayhi salam? Did his wife, was she engaged in homosexual behavior? No. But she was destroyed with them. She was destroyed with those people. Why? She wanted to live in harmony with them. She wanted to just be okay with them. And that's why, and this is what the Mufassirun say about why the wife of Lut alayhi salam was punished. She wasn't engaged in homosexual behavior, but she wasn't opposed to it. So guess what? If we don't have a clear-cut stance, if we don't establish this inkar, this condemnation, then we're going to be punished along with them. No doubt, it's so clear. The Quran, Allah is making it so easy for us. It doesn't require a genius to understand what these ayat are referring to in the Quran. So we have to have an excuse before Allah. I want to have an excuse before Allah that if the punishment comes from Allah, that I can say to Allah, well, I spread your message. I condemn this behavior. I told people to fear Allah. I told people to fear the punishment. So may Allah accept that as an excuse. What do you think of this? It's very clear. This is evil. I don't accept this. This is a perversion. This is corruption. I don't accept this. And guess what? The majority of people agree. Majority of people agree on this. Why? Because they have the fitrah. And now, on the recent surveys is showing that the percentage of people who accept gay marriage is, for the first time, it's actually decreasing. The younger generations, I mean, this is the hope. The younger generations are rejecting this stuff, LGBT. They call it Generation Z. They're rejecting it increasingly. This is the fitrah. There was big news about Uganda, this country in Africa, that the president said very clearly that no, this is illegal. We are not going to legalize this, and in fact, if there's any kind of rape or anything like that, then even the death penalty, we're going to apply it. And then Joe Biden says, oh, we have to sanction Uganda. Like, we're so worried about what Uganda says and what they do. So this shows that this is a sign for Muslims that the fitrah, people, and Uganda is a Christian country, mostly Christian. People have the fitrah. The majority are against this. The majority are, especially, the only reason that someone, a normal person, would be in favor of this is if they really don't know what it's about. They really don't know what it's about. Like there was one example where I think I gave a talk somewhere at another masjid, and like there were a bunch of young teenage sisters who were listening to the talk, and they got offended. They were angry. Like, how is he talking about against LGBT? These are just innocent victims. Love is love. Like that, they had been indoctrinated and brainwashed. And then, do you know what homosexuality is? I didn't tell them this, but someone else was telling them. Do you even know what? They're like, yeah, it's like love. You know, two people love each other. What's wrong with loving? No. But do you know what it is? Do you know what they do to each other? And they were so shocked. Like, what? They were shocked and disgusted. So this is the thing. People don't. Okay, maybe they know the action, and if you're not disgusted and completely shocked by that, okay. But then when you know the rest of the statistics, like what is their lifestyle actually? Like, what is a bug chaser actually? What is a gift giver actually? Like, what is this culture? Like, what is this history? When you know those facts, then there's no possibility that any normal person, I don't care if you're a Muslim or you're an atheist or you're a Christian, that this is not, like, this does not sit well. This is shocking. This is revolting. So we have to be confident that when we're speaking against this, we have the majority on our side, even if we don't feel it, even if we don't think it, because it's all manufactured. It's manufactured consent. They want to portray it like, oh, everyone accepts this. Everyone is, you know, waving the rainbow flag. Only the bigots are against this. This is the propaganda, the lies that they repeat over and over and over again. It's not true. No, people are sick and tired of this. People don't want this. Our kids. And now you're seeing these boycotts. They're boycotting Target. There was this Bud Light. It's like a beer company that is like facing major financial losses because they printed on their beer cans this transgender, this man who pretends he's a woman. They printed it on their cans, and then I guess they have mostly conservative Christians that are drinking this beer. And they boycotted this company, and they're like, oh man, we're losing literally hundreds of millions of dollars, maybe billions of dollars in market share. So this shows us that we are on the right side. Islam is the proof against this. We have to stick to our principles, we have to stick to our position and not compromise. There's no being politically correct with these people.